Over the last 3 months, I've been using all 3 of Patrik's slalom concepts. And while they might look similar, I've learned that each one is designed for something completely different. It's been 2.5, 3 months now since I've received my Patrik slalom boards, and I feel like I finally developed a good feeling of what each board is designed to do. So I thought I'd take the chance today to share my feelings so far with you. And full disclosure, I'm obviously sponsored by Patrik Windsurfing, so I don't want to make this the classic, marketing video, or these are the best boards I've ever ridden, more speed, more acceleration, more everything. No, I think what's rather interesting with Patrik is that he's saying himself that that's kind of bullshit.
As a shaper, of course, I always say it's not possible to have everything.
You can develop a board that's exceptionally fast, or you can develop a board that has exceptional control and very good jibing. But if you do both, of course, it's always going to be a compromise. And the brands that are telling you that their boards do everything perfectly in each section, it's just not physically possible, because you shape either in this direction or in that direction, or you do a compromise. So here behind me I have the 3 models, so I thought I'd share with you what I found out about those 3 boards and what purpose they each serve. Because on paper they seem to be actually quite similar. It's all more or less slalom boards, so why 3 models? When I ordered my boards this year, I thought I'd take like one board from the Slalom range, one board from the Slalom X range, and one board from the Deffy range, so that I could get a feeling for each of the boards and not just stick with one range immediately, but give each of them a shot and figure out the conditions they serve. So first up, let's talk about the board I'm probably going to sail the most here, which is going to be the big slalom board, the 140, which is this one. I've done a bunch of videos in the past of riding these boards. I'm actually a rider who, despite enjoying foiling, really likes the feeling of the big board, especially here on our gusty lakes in Leipzig, with an 85 wide board and an 8.4 and maybe even 7.6, something like this. These boards make light windsurfing really fun, and what I really love about those type of boards is that you can get this speed sensation even in relatively light wind, because these boards rail so exceptionally well that you really have to practice this technique when you're riding them of getting the board really loose. And I think that helps you across all disciplines in windsurfing, because you just learn to do this railing even in light wind. And that's why I'm still sticking with the light wind boards. And yeah, the 140 slalom behind me, I've tried now, I think 3 days here in Leipzig the past 2 weeks. And then before that, I also had 2 or maybe 3 days in the south of France in the étangs, in the little lakes. So the conditions there are, let's say, a little bit more choppy than the lakes here. And the lakes here are relatively flat, but more gusty. Yeah, just for you to know which kind of conditions I've sailed them in so far. And the thing that stands out about the Patrik slalom boards, maybe also in combination with the sails I'm using this year, the LA Gen 2, is the light wind capabilities. I've always had, let's say, boards that are fast in this category, but what I've experienced with this board is that it performs exceptionally well in light wind. And what I mean by this is that not necessarily about being able to get planing, but when you are planing, that even in the super light wind moments that you can actually rail the board and push the board and go quite fast, even in like, let's say 10 knots, which previously I never kind of had this sensation. So I'm really surprised by the light wind performance of this board. And jibing, I would say, feels good, feels standard, nothing really I can say about this. And speed, I've done now, I think like 33 knots in the south of France. And then here I've had actually 2 days where I did over 34 knots with the 8.4. I think I maxed it out now at 34.3 on 2 seconds. So yeah, it's also quite fast. I think I can push it past 35 knots on the right gust. But that's probably the least interesting board of those 3, because in this size, that's the only board by Patrik in the kind of slalom category. So yeah, very solid board overall. And I have to say, I really enjoy this big board sailing. And I hope we're going to get a lot of days here this summer. So probably going to be my most used setup here for Germany and my home spots. Next, let's talk about the Slalom X. And why did I order a Slalom X board? I'm not doing Slalom X races in the World Cup. Let's take a look at a Slalom X course. What are the actual requirements? What people start to immediately think about is jumping, but that's not really what it is about. Any board will jump, but what it is about is acceleration. So what Patrik did with these boards is try to give you more push under your back foot and give you more acceleration, either be it out of a jibe, after a jump when you slow down, or any chicane. And I think this translates not only to like the actual Slalom X races, but to basically anyone sailing like any slalom courses. And I've tried this board I think 5 times in the south of France, because I was there for a month and we didn't have that much wind. So usually it's small board sailing, but this time it was more medium and big board sailing. Anyway, then I have sailed it once here at the lakes where there was a little bit more wind, but it was not super windy. So yeah, that's kind of the conditions I've tried it in thus far. And what I can feel immediately with this board, it's the 115 by the way, the size, so it's my medium board, is that you can really push well on the back foot, and that gives you like super good light wind and really good acceleration as well. And what this board especially does, the 115, is it's the biggest board in the Slalom X range, because there's 2 boards in the Slalom X range, so you need the bigger one to be able to carry very big sails. So what I think the coolest thing about this 115 behind me is that it has like a huge range. You can sail it from like 6.5 full on 30 knots to light wind 8.4 even. Have to change maybe a little bit the fin size, but then you have a huge range with this board. And then we come to probably my favorite board for now, which is the Deffy Limited. The Deffy is a completely different concept of board, and as the name suggests, it's built for the Deffy course. And what do you do on the Deffy? You do a very long reaches, you do sometimes upwind, square, something like this, a little bit downwind, but not super downwind. And you need to be able to ride at quite high speeds at, let's say, 80 to 90% of your max for 40 minutes. And this board is just so insanely fast, and I really love this board, because I tried it a bunch of days in Grossean before the Deffy event, and I had so much fun on this board. I used it with a 30 centimeter fin, which I was surprised by. This is the 59 centimeter wide version, by the way, 93 liters. And even with this small fin, the upwind was so good. Like, you can push and the board just goes upwind. And you don't even have to push so hard. Even when you're like going a little bit relaxed in the stance, the board stays relatively fast. So I had moments where I'm going like upwind, not really pushing, and I'm still going over 30 knots, which I never had with any board. And on the Deffy, this board allows you to do exactly that. It gives you like the speed, even when you're not in the fully locked on stance. But then when you go into this full on locked stance, you're like so fast. So I did like on the beach of Grossean 38 knots before the event, and just with this board going along the beach. And yeah, I just felt really fast with this board. So in conclusion, the 3 boards. The slalom board, exceptional control, exceptional jibing, maybe not the fastest. The Deffy, amazing top speed, amazing upwind. This I have to say as well. The jibing on this board can be a bit sketchy, especially if you have a bit of chop and you're coming at it from a kind of weird angle, because these boards and the slalom boards and Slalom X boards, they have a very different outline. So the shape of the Deffy Limited is more like an egg. It's like round, whereas the Slalom X and Slalom is more straight. So with the Slalom and Slalom X, you can really push against the rail, and when you go into the jibe, you can like really push onto the rail, and the board just stays very stable, and you can just push and don't lose control. Whereas with the Deffy, yeah, the more round outline gives you more top speed, but it makes it just a tiny bit more shaky. So yeah, for me, after riding each of these 3 boards now for the last 3 months, what can I say as a conclusion? Probably my favorite board is the Deffy Limited. This board comes in 3 sizes, 59, 64 and 69. That's centimeters of width. So I'm thinking for me, because I'm like a speed sailor and I try to find flat water for sailing. For me, actually, also even in the medium size, I think the Deffy Limited in probably 69 centimeters makes more sense. if I would go to some, let's say, crazy slalom conditions, then I would choose this board behind me, the Slalom X. Because then the control, the jibing, all this is just so much better compared to the Deffy. But since I'm mostly looking for top speed, the Deffy gives me exactly that. And that's what I think is so cool about the Patrik range. You can look at what type of sailor you are, what you like to do, and then find the board that suits what you're doing exactly right. And yeah, for me, it's probably the Deffy board. That's the conclusion after the first 3 months of sailing. So yeah, maybe that helps some of you who are trying to decide between the 3 models. Actually, the new sails are also pretty exciting. So let me know down below in the comments if you would like to see a similar video about the new Generation 2 HALAMA sails. Then I will do a separate video for this. That's it for today. I've actually built this little bit of a studio space now here in my apartment so I can do videos more easily and don't have to find a location. So hopefully that helps me increase the output a little bit in the next weeks. Anyways, hopefully some wind soon. See you in the next one, guys. Ciao.